Well, hello guys, welcome to episode 4 recap of the Versus 3 save. Bit of a mouthful there. Essentially, this is a head-to-head battle save where I am going up against that trucking football manager, avoiding relegation, and the FM20. All four of us are managing the same club, and that is FC20 in the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. Just over one season, and we're going to see who gets the most points. So, in this episode, we are recapping what has gone on the videos that have gone out on all of our channels for match day 22. So we're over halfway through the season. There'll be a couple more episodes after this. One at match day 28, I think, and then one for the last game of the season. This video, we're going to have a little look through the transfers that have happened. We won't talk tactics because there's going to be no tactical tweaks that I've noticed in any of the videos, so we won't be talking about tactics today. But we'll also be showing some matchday highlights from from matchday 22 for all the human players, and then the most important thing, we'll be summing it all up with the final league table. But before we get started with that, let's have a look how things ended last time out. Okay, so this is how we left the table last time. As you can see, avoiding relegation had a 3-point lead at the top. After the 18 games that have been played, 34 points to avoiding relegation, 31 points to myself, just behind him. But that trucking football manager had made some significant gains on us after a pretty poor start, and just 5 points now behind myself, the point of game day 18. And the FMAI had also played very well and had closed the gap to 9 points. So it was all looking very, very interesting. And so today we're coming back for game day 22, and we're going to have a little look to see how things have carried on. So we're going to start off by checking out the results. So first of all, we'll have a look at that trucking football manager, and the form of TTFM has continued. If the last game that we saw was the game against Groningen, they've chucked in some friendlies, 14-0. Good God, Leopardsburg. I imagine it was just a bunch of leopards on the pitch. They then beat Venlo 3-1. That's hardly surprising. Beat Emmen 1-0. Got a win away at Vitesse Arnhem in the Dutch Cup, which is pretty good. And then lost to AZ Alkmaar. As coincidence has it, they will be playing at home against AZ Alkmaar in today's game, game day 22. And we'll be seeing that a little bit later. So myself, our poor form has continued. So we last saw our game against FC Emmen, played well, managed to lose that 1-0. We then lost to Wilhelm 2, 3-1 away. We then got a very good win over Heracles, 2-0. It was very good, and then proceeded to lose to Utrecht. And are coming back against Fortuna Sittard at home, who are struggling in the league. So you would hope that's a chance for a victory, but we'll see how things have got on. Next up, avoiding relegation. So they finished off last episode with a 1-0 win, but things haven't gone quite so well. So they've done well in the cup, but they managed to get a draw against AZ Alkmaar. Bit of a glorious game, that one. But then lost against Wilhelm 2 away, lost against Feyenoord away. You can understand both of those results to some degree, and they're coming back against RKC Zwolle in today's episode, so that is going to be interesting. And finally, the FMAI, who were doing really quite well last time we saw. They drew 1-1 away at Sparta for match day 18, but they've come back. They drew 1-1 against FC Utrecht, 0-0 away at Feyenoord, which is a damn good result, and then home 1-1 against AZ Alkmaar. So they've really not picked up a lot of points. With Pexval was game day 22, and as you can see, they lost that 3-0. Very disappointing. So the FMAI they haven't continued their form. So at the minute, it looks like avoiding relegation have continued things. We're going to have a little look, before we have a look at the results, we're going to have a look at the transfers that have been brought in. We've just gone over a transfer window, so we'll see what business has been done, and then we'll check out Matchday 22 highlights, and then sum everything up in the final table for the end of Matchday 22. Okay, let's go and check out some transfers. Well, let's get on to transfers. So, first of all, we're going to look at that Trucking Football Manager's transfers. Only 2 from him. First up was a goalkeeper. He wasn't happy with Drommel, who, I mean, is an absolute liability, so I can fully understand that. And he's brought in this lad, Wagner, who is, I can't tell with this skin where he's from. Sounds Brazilian, we'll say that. I mean, he is a 3.5-star goalkeeper, according to his coach. Looks okay. I mean, his best stat is in eccentricity. It's a slight lie, but he's got okay stats across the board, really. There's nothing terrible in there that would kind of worry you, but there's nothing absolutely brilliant. So he spent about 5 million apparently on this guy. I don't know where he got that money from, but he spent about 5 million on it, and and that's what you get for your money. It's okay, and probably nothing more than that. Second player that he's brought in is Ruben Gerardo, who is a striker. Again, he wasn't happy with the strikers that he got. He bought in a striker who wasn't doing the business, and the ones that we had, the likes of Vukic, etc., weren't particularly scoring the goals. So this is another option. Again, not particularly fantastic striker, 3 stars. He can finish, which is okay. He's got passing technique. He's got stats in the right places apart from his flair, really. And the rest of the stats are okay, but again, it's nothing special. I think those are 2 okay signings, both of them very old, but you know, they add to what he has. But he's the one on form at the minute, so we will see what that does. Right then, moving on to avoiding relegation. So what he's done. So we've already kind of seen these transfers. Well, if you've watched his videos, you will have seen these transfers. He did go over them briefly a couple of episodes ago. He'd signed them from his windfall of money that he got from the board, and you can see he wanted to get a left back. He also wanted to get a right back. Those are 2 areas where this team is weak, as well as goalkeeper, I think. And as you can see, this guy looks pretty good. He is pretty strong across the board. Again, nothing absolutely stand out, but everything is pretty good. Pretty fast player as well. I wouldn't mind a bit of this guy. He looks fairly decent for 3.5 star player. You've got to think that he's going to do a job. And look at that work rate of 15. That can't go unnoticed. So that's Alex Martinez. On the other side, he's got Julian Korb, who's apparently can play everywhere, apart from in goal. He's not quite as good, but he does have maybe a few more standout stats than the guy on the other side. Technically, he's a little bit weaker, but physically, he's got a little bit more going for him. Both of the players are very, very small, so if they're not going to be able to deal with tall strikers up against them, they're going to have to cope. They're going to have to put the centre backs on those tall strikers. And that might be a bit of an issue, but it's not bad. It's not bad. Another decent signing from AR. I think 2 good players in areas that he did need to work on. So on to myself. What have I done? So again, like that Trucking Football Manager, I felt the goalkeeper was an issue. I got in this guy, Ivor International. He does have some standout stats, and I think actually, whilst he has a couple of areas that he's weak, so his passing is not weak, but it's not a problem because he's not playing those long passes. He's just pushing it out left and right. That's fine, and He also has very low eccentricity, so you know what you're going to get. But then he is brave, and look at natural fitness at 20, absolutely fantastic. Physically, he's not all that, but it's not the end of the world. He's got a terrible jumping reach. Yeah, he's not tiny. But I suppose that is a bit of a downside. I hadn't noticed that. Oh well. But, you know, I was pretty happy with that. 3.5 stars worth of Ivorian international. So then I wanted a defender, and I bought this guy from Portugal, Andre Teixeira. As you can see, he is a okay player. I think that's pretty much as good as it gets for him. He's got decent stats in the right places in terms of his technicals, and nothing beyond that. And they're decent, not outstanding. Physically, he's quite strong. He's quite fast, and he's quite agile. But notice I say quite in front of all that. He's very much a quite sort of centre back. But that's kind of what we needed. Someone to give us a little bit more depth in there. This guy I was really happy with signing. He looks the business. 4-star player, crossing a 16. That is nice for a left back. He also has decent tackling and marking stats, which is important. They're not outstanding, but they're good enough. But he is going to be able to dribble and cross the ball. So he is another attacking threat down that side. He's fast as well, which is nice. Agile. And look at it across the board. It looks pretty good. 13, 14s all the way across the board, which is a lot better than, you know, the 11s and 12s we were seeing in some of the other players. So yeah, really, really, really happy with that. And I think he should be able to do the business for us. So what about the AI? Well, amazingly, they think they're all right. They're going with bringing nobody in. So they very much believing in themselves, which is commendable, but you know, fairly stupid. Okay, guys, let's see what's happened in game day 22. See who's won and who's lost. And up front, we've got the big man Bergerens, who seems to be doing a lot better than Clark at the minute, so that's why he's playing. That pretty much sums everything up. It's in the back of the, I think it's Espinosa taking the penalties, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Svensson to Mizio again. They've got a lot of joy over that wing, haven't they? It's won by Lang, but Stengs puts it back to Svensson. Terrible tackle, and Idrissi heads down to Klausi, hits it on the volley, and Jordi Klausi into the bottom corner makes it 1-0 to AZ Alkmaar. Never mind. Pete Bean has been booked, and it is a penalty, and it is a Coop Miners. Lovely penalty into the bottom corner. I wish we could do that. And it is 2-0 to AZ Alkmaar. Bojania to take the corner. In it comes. Gerardo with a header, and it's across to Busquets with his first of the season. Can we get back into this?
Bayern. Come on, boys. Bregerie. Get it out right. There we go. Cantalapiedri's got support. Crosses in. Zegnini. Oh, he squeezes it in. I thought that was going over. Apparently doesn't want the ball. Bregerie finds Korb. Korb puts it forward for Cantalapiedra. Lovely cross in. And there's Zegnini for his second of the game. His 8th of the season. It's FC20 2. RKC 0.
Well, yeah, what about that then? So, some nice goals, some surprising results, and a terrible penalty. So just running through that right at the start. My FC20 team lost to Fortuna Sittard 1-0 at home, disappointing. And then the Shocking Football Managers FC20 also lost at home against AZ Alkmaar, 2-1 this time. The only one of us who actually managed to get a victory was avoiding relegation, which was a 2-0 victory over RC Valvik. Finally, we had the FMAI, as we saw earlier on, lost 3-0 against Pexvoll. So what does that do for the table? Let's go and have a look. This is what you've all been waiting for. Wow, it tightens it all up, doesn't it? Wow. So we're all within 6 points of one another. The table itself hasn't changed, so we look pretty much the same in terms of placings, but points wise, avoiding relegation didn't move on a huge amount there, and if he hadn't won that last game, it could have been even tighter. But he's on 38 points, 11 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses. I come in next, and it's, well, I don't know how, just about. Am I going to be able to hold off TTFM? We will have to see. 34 points, 4 points behind avoiding relegation, 10 wins, 4 draws and 8 losses. And TTFM, he is in third place, just 2 points behind me now on 32 points, 9 wins, 5 draws and 8 losses. And the FMAI, that brief little surge, well, they've now gone backwards and are just on 20 points. Be interesting to see if they manage to finish the season, or if Julio Garcia, whatever his name is, gets sacked on 4 wins, 8 draws and 10 losses. And actually, they only lost 1 game, but they drew 3 of them. So not so good. Not so good. Okay, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you are new. Make sure you check out episode 5 on my channel, on Avoiding Relegation's channel, and on that Trucking Football Manager's channel. All the links to their channels are in the description below. Make sure you sub to them so you don't miss one of these videos. And yeah, as it all hots up right at the end, yeah, we'll have to see who comes out victorious. Not many games to go. I think it's just 12 games to go. And it's too close to call, really, at the minute. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. So we're going to be coming back in, I think, 6 games' time for game 28. And then we'll come back in another 6 games' time for the final game of the season. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.